Saddle up for a journey back to 1985, when Pale Rider brought Western grit to life. Today, in 2025, we're catching up with its unforgettable cast. Clint Eastwood rode into Pale Rider as the preacher, a shadow of justice. Then, in 1985, at 55, he was at his peak, directing and starring with that iconic squint. He handpicked the Sierra Nevada backdrop for its rugged soul. Fun fact, Clint improvised the preacher's eerie whistle, chilling foes on set. Now, in 2025, at 94, he's still unstoppable, hinting at new films. His grit-shaped classics like The Outlaw Josie Wales, and he's not done yet. A bonus tidbit, he's been mayor of Carmel, California, proving this gunslinger can run a town too. At 44, Michael Moriarty brought whole Barret to life in Pale Rider in 1985. As the miner fighting for his land, he matched Clint Eastwood's intensity with soulful grit. His theater roots gave every line weight. Fun fact, Michael once turned down a Star Trek role to stick with stage work. In 2025, Michael Moriarty, now 84, enjoys a quieter life. After shining as Ben Stone in Law and Order, he's traded scripts for piano keys, composing jazz in Canada. His last film, The Yellow Wallpaper in 2012, showed he's still got that spark. Sarah Wheeler stormed into Pale Rider in 1985, brought to life by Carrie Snodgress at 39. As the tough-as-nails widow facing down danger, she sparred with Clint Eastwood's preacher in a dance of defiance and heart. Her intensity lit up the West. Fun fact, Carrie nabbed her role after wowing Eastwood with a single, fiery audition tape. Carrie Snodgress passed away on April 1st, 2004 at 58 from heart failure during a transplant wait. In 2025, her Pale Rider grit and turns in blue skies still captivate. Clint Eastwood once praised her as a natural, a talent gone too soon. Josh LaHood roared onto the screen in Pale Rider in 1985, played by Penn at 19. As the brash, gunslinging son of a mining baron, he clashed with Clint Eastwood's preacher, oozing raw energy. His wild edge made waves. Fun fact, Chris landed the role after his brother Sean Penn bragged about his grit to Eastwood. Penn passed away on January 24, 2006, at 40, from heart disease worsened by drug use. In 2025, his fierce turns in Reservoir Dogs and Pale Rider still thrill. Co-star Michael Moriarty called him a fireball, a talent lost too young. LaHood slithered into Pale Rider in 1985, played by Dysart at 56. As the cold-blooded mining tycoon, he used menace, plotting to crush the little guy with a sneer and a bribe. His chilling stare made him the perfect villain. Fun fact, Richard nabbed an Emmy for LA Law, proving he could rule a courtroom too. Dysart passed away on April 5, 2015, at 86, from cancer after a long fight. In 2025, his snarling coy and roles in The Thing still haunt fans. Clint Eastwood hailed him as a pro's pro, a legacy of grit that never fades. Megan Wheeler galloped into Pale Rider in 1985, played by Sydney Penny at 13. As the fearless girl smitten with Clint Eastwood's preacher, she brought wide-eyed courage to the frontier. Her spark lit up every scene. Fun fact, Sydney started acting at 3, tap dancing her way to stardom on a variety show. In 2025, Sydney Penny, now 53, shines on. After soap fame in All My Children, she's settled in North Carolina, blending acting with family life. Her latest? A guest spot in 2023's Hidden Palms. Co-star Carrie Snodgress once called her a bright, bold spirit. Club lumbered into Pale Rider in 1985, played by Kiel at 45. As the towering, silent henchman, he smashed heads for the bad guys, looming large next to Clint Eastwood. His 7'2" frame was pure intimidation. Fun fact, Richard's iconic Jaws role in James Bond sparked a fan campaign to bring him back. Kiel passed away on September 10, 2014, at 74, from a heart attack after a fall. In 2025, his hulking club and Bond legacy still offhands. Co-star Sidney Penny remembered him as a gentle giant, a big man with an even bigger heart. Spider Conway swaggered into Pale Rider in 1985, played by Doug McGrath at 50. As the scrappy, doomed miner taunting the villains, he brought rough charm to his showdown with Clint Eastwood's Preacher. His grit was unforgettable. Fun fact, Doug survived a real plane crash in '68, walking away with just a story. In 2025, Doug McGrath, now 90, keeps a low profile. After roles in The Outlaw Josie Wales, he faded from Hollywood, likely enjoying quiet Canadian days. His last known gig was 2000 SXS Black Christmas. Fans still cheer Spider's wild spirit. Marshal Stockburn thundered into Pale Rider in 1985, played by John Russell at 64. As the icy, corrupt lawman hunting Clint Eastwood's Preacher, he used menace with a voice like gravel. His showdown was pure Western legend. Fun fact, John's real Marine heroics in World War II at Guadalcanal earned him a battlefield commission. John Russell passed away on January 19, 1991, at 70 from emphysema complications. In 2025, his chilling Stockburn and lawman TV fame still echo. Clint Eastwood called him a rock-solid pro, a towering 6'3" figure whose grit lives on in Western lore. McGill swaggered into Pale Rider in 1985, played by Charles Hallahan at 42. As the gruff, loyal miner backing the little guy, he stood tall with Clint Eastwood's Preacher, adding muscle to the fight. His rugged vibe clicked. Fun fact, Charles once rocked the stage as Scrooge, nailing 300 performances of A Christmas Carol. Charles Hallahan passed away on November 25, 1997, at 54 from a heart attack. In 2025, his McGill and roles in The Thing still pack a punch. Co-star Michael Moriarty dubbed him a powerhouse, a voice and presence fans won't forget. A miner trudged into Pale Rider in 1985, played by Marvin J. McIntyre at 37. As one of the gritty crew facing down the mining barons, he backed Clint Eastwood's Preacher with quiet steel. His everyman vibe shone. Fun fact, Marvin's wild beard in Return of the Jedi made him a secret Ewok favorite. In 2025, Marvin J. McIntyre, now 77, stays off the radar. After roles in Silverado, he's likely retired from acting, living low-key. His last known part was 1993's Only the Strong. Fans still spot his rugged face in Pale Rider's dust. Ma Blankenship bustled into Pale Rider in 1985, played by Fran Ryan at 68. As the no-nonsense matriarch of the mining camp, she dished out sass and wisdom beside Clint Eastwood's Preacher. Her gruff warmth won hearts. Fun fact, Fran's voice brought Miss Piggy's mom to life in The Muppet Show. Fran Ryan passed away on January 15, 2000, at 83 from natural causes after illness. In 2025, her ma and roles in The Long Rider still charm. Co-star Sidney Penny called her a feisty delight, a tough old bird whose spirit endures. Jed Blankenship rolled into Pale Rider in 1985, played by Richard Hamilton at 64. As the weathered miner clinging to hope, he stood firm with Clint Eastwood's Preacher, bringing quiet grit to the fight. His soulful eyes spoke volumes. Fun fact, Richard's stage roots included a Tony-nominated turn in Mornings at 7. Richard Hamilton passed away on December 21, 2004, at 84 from natural causes tied to age. In 2025, his Jed and Men in Black role still resonate. Co-star Michael Moriarty praised him as a gentle rock, a steady force fans treasure. Teddy Conway dashed into Pale Rider in 1985, played by Jeffrey Weissman at 27. As the scrappy miner son caught in the fray, he added youthful fire beside Clint Eastwood's Preacher. His energy popped. Fun fact, Jeffrey stepped into Back to the Future Part 2 as George McFly, replacing Crispin Glover last minute. In 2025, Jeffrey Weissman, now 67, keeps the spark alive. He's acting in indie films like 2023's The Red Tide and teaches workshops in California. Fans love his Pale Rider pluck and time travel cred. He calls Eastwood a quiet genius. Elam strode into Pale Rider in 1985, played by Randy Oglesby at 36. As one of the rugged miners standing with Clint Eastwood's preacher, he brought a steely edge to the camp's defiance. His quiet toughness fit the Western vibe. Fun fact, Randy's played more Star Trek characters, 7, than anyone, from Next Generation to Enterprise. In 2025, Randy Oglesby, now 76, keeps acting strong. He's popped up in For All Mankind as President Jim Bragg, blending grit with gravitas. His Pale Rider days echo in a career full of sci-fi and drama. He calls Eastwood a master storyteller. Ulrich Lindquist trudged into Pale Rider in 1985, played by Herman Poppy at 41. As the stoic Swedish miner digging for gold, he stood with Clint Eastwood's preacher, adding Nordic grit to the camp. His understated strength fit the frontier. Fun fact, Herman's theater chops shown on Broadway in 1969's A Flea in Her Ear, wowing crowds. In 2025, Herman Poppy, now 80, keeps a low profile. After roles in The Rocketeer and Scrubs, he's shifted to playwriting, with work staged in LA. His Pale Rider days linger in fans' hearts. He calls Eastwood a director who sees everything. Deputy Folky rode into Pale Rider in 1985, played by S.A. Griffin at 31. As one of Marshal Stockburn's grim posse, he hunted Clint Eastwood's preacher with cold loyalty. His sharp glare cut through the dust. Fun fact, S.A.'s a poet too, publishing wild works like Harvey Keitel, Harvey Keitel, Harvey Keitel. In 2025, S.A. Griffin, now 71, keeps the creative fires burning. After roles in Twins and Dexter, he's acting in indie flicks like 2023's Free LSD. A Texas-born maverick, he blends poetry and film. He calls Eastwood a mythic force, a nod to their Pale Rider days. A deputy swaggered into Pale Rider in 1985, played by Robert Winley at 32. As part of Marshal Stockburn's ruthless crew, he faced off with Clint Eastwood's preacher, oozing menace in the showdown. His gruff edge fit the West. Fun fact, Robert's "Hasta la vista, baby" line as a biker in Terminator 2 became a pop culture gem. Robert Winley passed away on October 21, 2001 at 48 from a heart attack. In 2025, his Pale Rider snarl and Terminator 2 cameo still thrill. Fans remember his tough guy vibe, a brief but bold mark on screen. Deputy Mather slunk into Pale Rider in 1985, played by Billy Drago at 39. As a sinister gunman in Marshal Stockburn's posse, he stalked Clint Eastwood's preacher with a snake-like glare. His eerie vibe chilled the screen. Fun fact, Billy's real name was William Burroughs, inspired by the beat writer he loved. Billy Drago passed away on June 24, 2019, at 73, from stroke complications. In 2025, his Mather and roles in The Untouchables still mesmerize. Co-star Jeffrey Weissman called him a magnetic force, a lean, mean talent whose haunting presence lingers in Western lore. Deputy Tucker stormed into Pale Rider in 1985, played by John Dennis Johnston at 35. As one of Marshal Stockburn's lethal posse, he hunted Clint Eastwood's preacher with a sneer and a quick draw. His raw intensity burned bright. Fun fact, John's a cycling nut, once lobbying for safer roads after dodging traffic himself. In 2025, John Dennis Johnston, now 74, keeps it low-key. After gritty roles in 48 Hours and Wyatt Earp, he stepped back, last seen in 2018's Gone Are the Days. A Nebraska-born talent, he calls Eastwood a quiet legend. A stage driver rolled into Pale Rider in 1985, played by Buddy Van Horn at 55. As a grizzled coachman and the film's stunt maestro, He kept Clint Eastwood's Preacher in Wild Action, doubling for him in Rough Rides. His skill was gold. Fun fact, Buddy wrangled stunts for 5 decades, from Spartacus to Dirty Harry. Buddy Van Horn passed away on May 11, 2021, at 91, from age-related causes. In 2025, his Pale Rider feats and directing the Deadpool still dazzle. Eastwood called him "my right hand," a stunt legend whose reigns shaped Hollywood. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.